What's up, YouTube? I just wanted to talk about something. Do a video I've never done before. And one of the running themes that I like to do is like, here's what I've kept throughout the years in a particular category. So this is going to be hatchets and axes. I'm going to start with this guy right here. It's the only one I kept sheathed because I'm going to show this guy off first. This I just got for Christmas. Check that bad boy out. And this is the Karesvando forest axe. Let me start with the sheath here. Look at this beautiful sheath. Beautiful leather. And I'm sure the leather, because this knife, or this axe, really this whole company, they make this stuff in a place called Lapland, Sweden. It's 150 miles into the Arctic Circle. And everything that they use, like all the materials, like this right here is probably caribou bone for the striker there. So I would imagine that this leather is probably either moose or caribou, i.e. reindeer, right? Let's put that sheath aside. And this is the axe. This is birch, because it's like the only tree that grows that far up north. So that's a birch handle, and that right there is probably moose bone for the bottom. But look at just what a fantastic job they do seating that in there. Polished. This thing just crushes. So this is going to be the smallest hatchet that I have, and also the lightest. But man, see the way that that grabs right there on the bottom? Just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. But it is super light in the hand, so I'm very curious to see the kind of work that this thing is going to do. But what an awesome company. I've wanted something from Karesvando for so long, and I finally got one. And this sheath is just incredible. I'm going to leave that part open in case I decide to open this guy back up again. But as far as hatchets and axes go, you know, I used to be really simple. Like here, we'll start with this one. So this is the Kobalt, 1 1/4 pound. And I basically got this thing from wherever they sell the Kobalt. What is that, Lowe's? So this is the Lowe's hatchet. I could probably actually oil this top. But I have used the mess out of this thing. And look how well done it is. You know, there's a lot of videos online from the people who get the Harbor Freight one. And the Kobalt one is really, really good. All I did was sand down the handle here. I sanded this myself. And then I stained it so that it was that color. I am absolutely sure at some point I probably sanded this too and polished that down just to expose the metal. I know I gave this one a decent edge too because I put it on my work sharp and I thinned that edge out just a bit. These things here, I did it on that one too. I'm going to tell you what those are. So these are, what I'll do is I'll get like a bicycle tube from Walmart, right? And then I just cut the bike tube to size and I run it up from the bottom. So this is actually rubber. So now you can get a real nice grip. I can probably put one down here at the bottom too, but I actually like the feel of the wood. It's grippy enough, it doesn't really go anywhere. But this one's great. I've used it as a hammer. You can probably see how much I've knocked that back there. I'll even baton with this one to go through wood that way. And I'll tell you what, this it's like a $15 hatchet, and it's one of the best ones that I've ever had, which is hilarious. And I know I'm not alone because, you know, there's a lot of videos. Girls, go in the living room. Go in the living room. Olive, go in the living room. Go in the living room. Apologies. My girls are home for Christmas, so you might hear some in the background. But yeah, check that out. Yeah, one of the best hatchets I have, and it's $15. I mean, it takes some upgrades, but it's almost, they're fun upgrades, and they're not very expensive. I got this from eBay. So it's a nylon mask, and that's what I use for this guy. And I'll tell you what, a little bit of upgrading, and it does a fantastic job. And this one was one I bought a couple of years ago, because I really liked the shape. This is not the original handle. Olive, go in the living room. Go in the living room. This is not the original handle. I will say, so I love that head, but this one is from Beavercraft. And I actually got this one too from Knives Ship Free, because they sell the Beavercraft stuff. So see, I had to do that myself and put a new handle on it, because the problem was, as soon as I got this thing, on the very first use that I took it out, I broke the handle. It snapped right at the head, right here. And I didn't do anything crazy. It's just, I took it out, I went to go use it, and the head fell off. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. It's Beavercraft. They're kind of cheap, but they're not as cheap as, like, you know, this one. You pay a little bit of money to get Beavercraft, and the handle completely fell apart. So, I don't know if that's a fluke. I'm not going to say don't buy Beavercraft, but I am going to tell you about my experience. Although this head really is phenomenal. I put a really good edge on this one, too. This one will feather stick. This one will cut paper. And I always did really like the shape of the head on that one. You know, you can choke back and do some work that way. Or it's heavy enough. It's probably 1.25 pounds. I can't even remember. But it's probably about that. 1 pound, 1.25 pounds. So this one will get a lot of work done. And I already had, I will tell you what, for Beavercraft, I had bought this one as well, a replacement handle, so that I can put that in there in case it breaks again, just because I don't seat heads onto axes very often, so I didn't know if I was going to do a good job, so I got this one ready to go, just in case I break that one again. But Beavercraft, what they really do well is their leather. It's very light, but it's very strong. It's not going anywhere. The stitching is amazing, and this is an awesome belt carrier. And a lot of the times, like, I'll just, whatever axe I'm going to take with me, I'll just use that like this. But this is the belt carrier that they send you. And again, it's great leather. Great leather. So I will give them credit for that, even though their axe fell apart on me the very first time I went to go use it. The leather is phenomenal, and the head is phenomenal. Here's a funny one. This is probably one of the first ones that I've ever bought that I thought was going to be decent. So this one is a Schrade. It is the SCX2L. And the L just means long because it's the longer one. Because it's got, I don't know if that, what is that, 19 inches probably? It's super light though for its size, because it's a polymer handle that's not wood. And you can see the way that that's seated in there like that. Right, so this striker I've used a lot. I've also batoned with this one through wood, and it holds up. I'll tell you what, I've had this thing for probably over a decade. Again, I put it came with a really sick edge. Do you guys remember when Schrade was actually trying to make pretty decent stuff? I mean, it was all Chinese, and the steel was always like that 8CR 31 MOV or 3 MOV or something like that. Like, nobody even knew what the steel was, but Schrade was trying. There was a few years there for a while where they were making pretty decent stuff, and this is pretty decent. I've showed the, I got a kukri from them too that came out about the same time period, and I actually still have one of their knives too that came out around the same time period. And, yeah, Schrade they were trying for a while. There's actually there was a fire steel inside of here. I pulled it out and threw it onto one of the knives, but I'll tell you what, this is not a bad axe at all, especially for the money. If they're still selling these things, I said really sick edge. Really sick edge for an axe. I'll tell you what, if you don't like spending a ton of money on axes, because I never really did either. I don't have a single one here. I've never spent more than these are probably my two most expensive. Actually, this one's probably the most expensive, but I didn't even pay for that one. That was a Christmas present. Now let's talk about these two. So this is Adler. A lot of people know Adler, German company. Phenomenal. Adler. I am going to show one thing, though, just because I have to. This is their canoe axe. I might have to move that camera back a little bit. It's a decent size axe. It's not a traditional felling axe, because it's not big enough, it's not really long enough, you can't get the leverage, but there's two hands on this thing. I mean, it's got to be almost 24 inches, it's got to be 20 plus inches. And the handle is beautiful. It's sat perfectly. German engineering. I didn't do much to the edge to this one because it really is hard use, so I didn't want to thin that edge out. Obviously, you can see how hard I've used this one. I can probably afford to clean that up a bit. But Adler, man, I tell you, what a fantastic axe. And it's designed so that if you wanted to do one-hand operation from a few different grips, you can. This paint that they use is even super textured, so just when you're holding the paint here, right, just holding it in one hand, it's not going anywhere, and that's just something they do, right, because it's the same here. This is just like an Adler thing, you know, that you get this textured paint. Some people I've actually heard complain about it because it's so rough. I don't think it's rough because I have man hands, so it doesn't bother me. But, yeah, the textured paint isn't awesome. It's just a cool little touch. But what a fantastic job they did. And this is one of my favorite tools of all time because it's a maul, as you can see. Look at those cheeks. So this is a splitting maul. I don't know how heavy the head is. I'd probably have to look. Maybe it's on here somewhere. But this is heavy. This is very light. This is their canoe axe. So it's meant to just be at your side, and it's not going to be super cumbersome as far as axes go to be able to carry. So that's their canoe axe, and it's really light for the amount of work that this thing can do. This thing is heavy. You're not really going to want to carry this thing around. This is more for the backyard, or if I was camping out of the back of my truck. You know, you can bring something like this to split firewood, because, man, does it make light work of everything. But the only thing I will say is I bought it like this. Can you see that crack? When I bought it, there was already a crack in the head. And I bet if I would have sent it back, they would have taken care of me, because Adler is that company. But it's not so much so that it scared me, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to use it anyway. So I oiled it. I can probably use a little bit more. I oiled it just because you want the wood to absorb the oil and kind of expand, fatten up a little bit just to make that tighter. And I have used this thing so much, I have never seen the crack get any worse. And I've never had a failure, obviously. That's the original head. That's how it came. But just look at that beast. But the cool part about this thing being a splitting maul is look how small it is. It's actually about the same size as the canoe axe, except it's got like a 3.5 pound head. It's a monster. Overstrike guard. Obviously, I've missed a couple of times. Dented. If anybody's actually ever chopped firewood, overstriking is very easy. You come over the top, you go to swing, and you're going to miss, you know, and hit your log right here. And that protects the head from snapping off. And they put that on there too. That's Adler. This is no aftermarket pieces. This is just how it came. Like I said, I wanted to show you the top just to be fair, but Adler makes incredible stuff. I've had this thing for a little over 2 years? Maybe 2 years? But just what a tool. And because it's so small, it's so fun to use. Because it is smaller, it's actually more accurate. You come over the top, bang. Come over the top, bang. And it really is more, even though I've missed, it is more accurate. It really is, just because of that size. I actually like how small this thing is for how heavy the head is. It just gets so much work done. It's awesome. Adler. Pretty decent leather. It's a little tough. Even for as long as I've had it, you can just feel it. It doesn't really have a lot of play. So sometimes it's, you know, can be kind of a pain. Oh, that's the wrong one. To get these things back on. Just because it doesn't really want to offer a whole ton as far as help goes. I feel like I'm going to eat through. Actually, I think I even almost did. See that right there? That was just from getting this axe in and out. But, I mean, it is quality leather. Great stitching. Haven't had any malfunctions outside of that one little spot right there. If I was carrying that axe a lot more, I might be more upset, but it stays home just because it's so heavy. This one actually does come out, though. And I tell you what, I don't know. I mean, this is probably the most prime, just the most primo work tool that I own, because it's heavy enough. You can get enough leverage, 2 hands, to do your splitting. It'll split firewood, but it also wants to operate like a hatchet. It's like having both without affording so much extra weight, because it really is very light for what it's worth. Yeah, Adler's Crush. Last but not least, I'm going to start with the sheath. Leather, loose, kind of flimsy. I mean, the snaps, nothing's ever failed on me, but, well, we'll get there. So this guy is actually from a company called Rone Creek, and that's the Viking hatchet. It's the most comfortable hatchet that I have for hiking all the way up here, because even this part isn't sharp. It's super rounded, and see how it even has, you see that? Like your thumb just wants to sit right in there, and you don't even feel this thing. I thinned out the edge a little bit, but not much, because I figured I'm never going to use this thing. It's so thick. I'm not going to use this thing to do any feather sticking. That's what knives are for. But I did thin that edge out just a bit. But what a beautiful hatchet, right? So this company, Rone Creek, I accidentally discovered them on eBay. I was just looking at different hatchets because I was looking for, one with a particular beard for, being able to grab up here. And I stumbled across their stuff on eBay. And I was like, man, they got some cool stuff. So I went to their website and I started looking around. American company from the Midwest. I want to say either Indiana, Kentucky, maybe Nebraska. It's R-O-N-E, Rone Creek. And this axe was like $50. And they have another one that's even bigger, with the bigger Viking beard that comes down here that I'm about to order because I want it so bad. And it's like $56. These things are cheap. They make a couple of knives too that are super cheap. But I tell you what, look at that. I have used this thing so much. I have a video on my channel of me using this thing to baton wood through, because especially when I'm using a hatchet, you can't always get the leverage to chop firewood the way that you think you're going to. Hatchets just don't always have a lot. They just don't have a lot of weight. I'm guessing it's 1.25 pound head. But a lot of the times what I'll do with firewood, is I'll just baton like this. Imagine this was a stick, and I'm just going to go that way. Ding, 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 ding. And I send it right through, and I'll split logs like that. An axe guy's going to tell me that you're going to break the head off, and you're probably right. I don't do it a lot, but I'll do it if I have to, in an emergency situation, or if the wood is just going to fall apart where I don't have to, I'm not beating it through, knots or anything too gnarly. If it's going to be an easy split, I will do that. I'll do that often. But I'll tell you what, just what an incredible job. Here's a bike tube again. I wonder if I should pull it down so you can see their symbol. Rone Creek, burned into the wood. You see that? Phenomenal company. And they make cheap stuff, but they do such a good job. Look how well that thing is seated. And I've had this thing for a while, and I have used it a ton, and there is no rattle. It's probably one of the best quality hatchets that I have. It's almost at double, maybe almost triple the price quality. Made right here in the USA, out in the Midwest, and just beautiful. Absolutely, the most comfortable hatchet that I have. The Karesvando is made to be held like this. And I can feel hot spots here on the Karesvando. This thing doesn't have any hot spots. Beautiful, beautiful hatchet. Rone Creek, and it's just some random company that I stumbled upon. And I am so glad they exist, and I'm going to get more of their stuff. So check them out. But that's basically all I had. These are all the axes and the hatchets that I've kept over the years. They all get use. Hilarious $15 Lowe's hatchet. They all get use. Maybe a cheaper one would need some upgrades. But, that's how they roll. They all do an awesome job. I'll just show this one more time. But there's my little guy. There's the Karesvando. Isn't that thing pretty? Look at how pretty that thing is. And as soon as I can see the weather breaking a bit, I'm going to get out there. Head almost looks like a bird, doesn't it? Look at that. What a beautiful, beautiful piece. This is the only one that I'm actually going to have to test and do a review on just to see what I can put it up against, to see what it can do. But what a beautiful piece, isn't it? Gorgeous. But this one right here, guys, go check out Rone Creek, especially if you're into axes and hatchets. Go check them out. But that's what I got for you. Let me know what you think.